You know, in this video, I had a little incident that happened to us, and so I bring these little incidents out so that you'll know and maybe get your opinion on them or whatever. But yesterday morning, we had one of our cars towed back in, and the man come in and says, well, the motor is locked up on the car. And so I guess, you know, we had this car, one of the nicest used cars we've had on this lot in a while, and it was a Dodge 300 Hemi. We actually have two of these, or had two of the identical cars. But anyway, the man picked it up the day before the car blew up. James, one of our wholesalers here, had been driving the car, every day to and from his home here from the office, and James lives about 25 miles, so he was putting about 50 miles a day on the car. And it really performed flawlessly. And so the day the man come to pick the car up, he presented his papers where he had paid for the car, and he picked the car up and left in it. Within a few minutes he was back. He could not turn the flashers off. He did not know where the flasher switch was on the car. This man's about 70 years old, I guess, and had bought this car for, I think, either his son or his grandson, it being a Hemi. So it was a younger fellow that he had bought the car for. He brought the car back, couldn't turn the flashers off. Next day the car shows up on a tow truck. So, obviously he's brought the car back for us to help him get repaired. I don't really know what he expects out of it. Of course, like all used cars in that price range, we sell as is. It's required by federal law, and we got all of our documentations, of course, but they bring the car back here, for our assistance or our repairs, even though there's no warranty on the car. So the first thing that I began to think is, okay, the man couldn't even turn the flashers off. What caused this car to seize up? Who was actually driving the car when it seized up, and how the car was being driven? So these are questions that we're not going to get the straight answers to, you got to use your common sense when you're evaluating what you should do in this situation. Car left here, was driven around here for a couple of weeks, and perfectly. It was just a nice used car. Now, granted, it had a couple of 100,000 miles on it, but most of you know that engines don't just seize up. There's warning signs: oil lights, oil gauges, temperature lights, temperature gauges. All of these signals that will warn you before an engine is just going to lock up as a rule. So, like I said, we've got the car that we're dealing with now. We don't know exactly what the man expects of us, but we're having the car looked at, and so far, it looks like it is going to have a motor in it, and now it just comes into, obviously, we feel bad about it, but we know we're not being given the truth about the circumstances that preceded the car just locking up. We don't know if the man was driving it, if there was any warning signs. We don't know if the younger man was driving it. After all, this is a Hemi, so we don't know how it was being driven. It's a high-performance car. So I just wanted to point that out to you, that if you're running a car lot, you've got your reputation to look at, and we've had our share of that. And I point this up, that it's not all glitz and glamour. It's not all happy selling. There are situations that you run into that, man, you're just scratching your head because you don't know why the car seized up, and you don't really know the circumstances it seized up under. So I hope that you don't have too many of these instances. We actually, about less than 5% of our sales result this way, but still you don't like to see them bringing a car back, that you've got to go to bat and start really defending yourself on it, or really trying to make reaffirm the statements. Hey, do you remember this as is statement and our agreement to you? As is means just that, as is. So if you like this channel, please like and share it. I thank you for your time. Have a wonderful Saturday.